Welcome to a new show on the Indiana SRN family of networks. This is Flying into the Falcons Nest. I'm your host and play-by-play man for the year, Justin Griffiths. In this week's episode of Flying into the Falcons Nest, I recap the season that was 2020. Then I sit down with coaches from both teams and Coach Jennings of Whiting and Coach Burgess of your Falcons as we talk about the matchup in Week 1 of the 2021 season. In future episodes, I hope to have Craig Collins and I's Players of the Week on as we continue into the season. You are listening Into the Falcons Nest, powered by Indiana SRN. Welcome back to Into the Falcons Nest. The 2020 season started off rough for the Falcons as they were down 12-0 early to the Ramblers of Attica. The Falcons were able to mount their big comeback in thanks to 3 Caleb Atkinson's touchdown runs and a blocked punt by Isaiah Davis recovered by Skylar Bertram. Atkinson finished the game with 326 yards off of 33 carries. Week 2 found a battle of rivals as the Falcons went up to North White and took on the Vikings as the rivalry continued, with Falcons shutting out North White 26-0. Atkinson finished the game with 215 yards and 3 more scores. The Falcons moved to 3-0 on the year with a victory over the Mustangs of Fountain Central 32-18. Unfortunately, the unbeaten streak would come to an end as Frontier fell to Clinton Central 44-38 in a back-and-forth affair. A fumble by Caleb sealed the win for the Bulldogs on their own homecoming. However, a milestone was reached the following week as Caleb Atkinson rushed for a total of 1,000 yards against the Knights of Traders Point. The biggest thing out of that was the Falcons had 5 turnovers, but the young Knights team could not capitalize on those and turn those into points as the Falcons moved to 4-1 on the season with a 32-12 win over the Knights. The only 2A team Frontier faced last year was when they traveled up to Morocco and took on North Newton. The Falcons led after the first quarter 16-8, but the Spartans scored 20 points in the second quarter to put the game away with a final of 36-22. The final home game of the year turned out to be a good one as it was another back and forth affair with Tri-County. Frontier led going into the final quarter 16-12, but a Cavalier touchdown and 2-point conversion put the Falcons behind the 8 ball. They were able to score and retake the lead, and Justin Schroeder was able to force a turnover on downs for Coach Dean and his defense as the Falcons won 22-20. What would turn out to be the final regular season game of the 2020 year for Frontier was a game to forget, as West Central was able to pick up their second win of the year against a battered Falcons team 24-6. And going into sectionals, 5-3 after the South Newton game was canceled due to COVID-19, the Falcons had a tough draw against the sectional champions Lafayette Central Catholic, and the Knights were able to prove to be too much as they beat the Falcons 35-12, ending their season at 5-4. LCC went on to win not only the sectional but the regional before being beaten in semi-state by South Adams. After the break, I sit down with Week 1 opponent of the 2021 season and Whiting's third-year head coach, Brett Jennings. You are listening to Into the Falcons Nest, powered by Indiana SRN. Welcome back to Into the Falcons Nest, as I am joined by head coach Brett Jennings of Whiting, Week 1 opponent of Frontier. Coach, thanks for joining me tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure.
So I kind of went over in the last segment Frontier's 2020 schedule. For you guys, it was a completely different thing. Frontier was able to get 8 of their 9 games played in the regular season. You guys only got 2, and kind of go over that a little bit. How did you guys stay prepared? How did your kids stay prepared?
Well, it was pretty tough. So basically, maybe 3 or 4 days into August, we were shut down. Our school board made a decision that fall sports weren't going to happen if we were e-learning. So that was a decision that the board made. And, obviously, they're doing what they feel was best for kids. So there's not a whole lot that we could say to that. So basically, though, we just tried, just to stay with the kids and stay in contact with them. And obviously, you can only check on grades. You can only do so much when you're not meeting with your kids. And it wasn't until, let's see, maybe week 8, I think it was, the board met and decided to reverse that decision. I don't know, 7 or 8 weeks after the deal. So week 8 was our first game. We had basically a skeleton crew of players. Again, our board made a decision that if you are, we came back in person, but you can still choose to opt out and stay online. Well, if you stayed online, you couldn't be a student athlete. So we had some kids that's the decision. They starting the season, I think with 25 kids it was. So we got to play 4 games. We got a sectional win against a rival school, which was great. Finished the season on 1-3. Unfortunately, though, we didn't have a middle school program and we had no JV program. So it kind of set us back really in an entire year. But it was an interesting year to say the least. So as it was for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Coach Burgess was lucky to get 8 of 9 games. South Newton was their only game that was canceled due to COVID-19. And like I said, they had a tough opponent in LCC in their opening round of sectional. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Now, I was able to watch a little bit of your scrimmage against Hammond, and Nick Davenport looks like a really good quarterback for only being a sophomore.
Yeah, Nick is he's got some tools. Being a sophomore, he's one of our better athletes. And Nick, has been working his tail off for since he's really been a 5th or a 6th grader. So while he is only a sophomore physically, he's starting to become a junior in terms of that. So yeah, he's one of our quicker kids. He's athletic. He's got a good arm. But there's going to be some learning curves whenever you're a first year quarterback. As Nick is, but he's making some sound decisions, and we're excited to see what he can do.
Traveling down to Frontier, obviously that kind of moved the game to a Saturday afternoon. I know Coach Burgess really doesn't like Saturday games. I'm sure you don't either, because there's nothing like feeling that Friday night lights.
There's not, but to be honest with you, week 1 has always been a Saturday game for us. So we've had a rivalry with Hammond Clark going on 87 years till they shut the school down and consolidated there in Hammond. So we have played that game on Saturday, for a long time. So it's really nothing new to us. It's nothing new to the kids, to be honest with you. So we'll roll with the punches and we'll make it work. So no, we're excited to play a Saturday afternoon, and we're excited to travel a couple hours down to Frontier.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game, as Frontier has a new running back after Caleb Atkinson. He finished with over 1,700 yards last year. He graduated, so luckily you guys don't have to face him a little bit. I mean, it's one of those things where a good kid hopefully finds a place in college. I bet you can agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially there's always a place for kids to go play. Just looking back through huddle, the kid was a load to bring down, and would have been a tough matchup for us, no doubt.
You have a tough matchup yourself, as Julius Torres is another one of those key players for you guys. He's a junior coming in at 5'9", 201 pounds officially, at least by the roster. Kind of describe what his running style is a little bit like. Caleb was more of a power back. Is he more of a scat back, or is he a power back like that?
No. Julius is definitely a power back. He comes from good athletic blood in his family. His older brother played for us a few years back, and comes from a line of kids or of players that have come through Whiting the last 40 years. So he's definitely a bruiser. He's an emotional kid. He loves contact. He plays middle linebacker for us as well. He's physical. He's got good hands out of the backfield. And I think he's a tough matchup for any defense.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to see you guys play against Frontier. And again, this is going to be a home and home in between them, so that Frontier will come up to the region, as I like to call it. Next year, after Frontier, you guys play Highland, then Hammond, Knowles. So it really doesn't get any easier for you guys.
Yeah, so, we like the matchup with Frontier. We're two physical teams, or, we feel like we're physical, and I think that's what they want to be. It's a great matchup initially for us. So that, they get a 2-year contract with Frontier. I'm ecstatic, and like you said, we go to Highland, who's a 4A school. And, Highland traditionally is always filled with athletes. They got a good coaching staff. So a tough matchup. And then week 3, like you said, we have Bishop Knoll at home. Bishop Knoll is, we played them last year, first round of sectionals, and they're loaded with athletes. Their quarterback is just extremely difficult to stop, dual threat type of kids. So yeah, we have 3 tough weeks, but we feel like we're moving in the right direction.
This is Brett Jennings on Into the Falcons Nest. Coach, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the game. Coming up next after the break on Into the Falcons Nest, I sit down with the Falcons head coach, Troy Burgess, as we discuss how they're going to take on the Oilers. Welcome back to Into the Falcons Nest. I'm here with the coach of the Falcons, Troy Burgess. Coach, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Justin.
Last year, Coach, you had a decent season. You started off very well against Attica and Caleb Atkinson. He was one of the highlights of your guys' team. He finished with over 1,700 rushing yards. How are you going to kind of replace a guy like Caleb?
Well, that's kind of the $1 million question right now is exactly what we are going to do. But no, we've got 3 or 4 guys right now, young backs that are stepping in and are going to have to really play big for us this year to replace that. I mean, that's what Caleb did for us as a junior and senior was very, very impressive, and it is going to be hard to replace. But we've got some young guys that are stepping up, and they just don't have a lot of playing experience right now. So I think we'll see as the year goes on that these guys will just continue to get better and better.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of reminds me of how I was talking to you last year of how much is Caleb actually going to be able to handle with a new quarterback and Caleb Wagner, and now Wagner's the returning guy, and he has some of his weapons back on the receiver. Are we going to see maybe a little bit more throwing from you guys this year, or are you still? I know you're mostly ground and pound, but are you going to try to allow Caleb to air it out a little bit?
Well, we're going to definitely have to change up what we do. This will probably be the first time and. Probably in my career that our I-back offense is probably not going to be our bread and butter like it always has been. It's just we just don't have that type of personnel. So yeah, you're probably going to see Caleb in the shotgun a lot more, a lot of one-back stuff. We still think we can run the football and run the football effective out of that, but there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Caleb Wagner. He's going to have to. Not only carry the ball and be one of our leading rushers, he's also going to have to be able to throw the football a little bit. And
it really helps
a lot of confidence in it.
It really helps that he has most of his, if not his entire starting offensive line back from last year. And really, Justin Schroeder is one of those kids that I can see being a very integral part, both on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side.
Well, Justin's a tremendous football player, and he's the leader of our football team along with Caleb Wagner, and so we're gonna rely a lot on Justin. He makes all of our calls up front for us on our offensive line, plays middle linebacker, takes care of all of our calls on the defensive side. So he's a very, very important part of what we do.
And so, obviously, no Caleb Atkinson. But I was able to watch your scrimmage against Attica last Friday, and Zach Wells, he really impressed me. He had a couple of 5-6 yard runs, and then he really broke it out there on the 5th play of the scrimmage for about 15-16 yards. It's going to be very interesting to see him play.
Well, Zach was kind of our backup last year. We talk about it as a backup. He's, he did get some reps for us in games. He's carried the ball 20, 25 times in his career, so not a lot, but he's done a nice job in this offseason getting himself ready, and I know he's really looking forward to the challenge of being our number 1 tailback.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting. You guys play Whiting this year. It's a Saturday game, which I know you don't like, but that is a trip for Whiting to come down to Chalmers and face you guys. But very, very nice to have that kind of matchup. They're a 2A school. Just what have you kind of seen from their scrimmage a little bit?
Well, we had a chance to watch a little bit, and we watched it with the team yesterday some. So, it's they're very big up front. Got a good physical running back. They're a little bit bigger than we are, obviously school size, and but they're going to be very physical, both sides of the ball. Good size. Look like they do have some weapons on the outside. Quarterbacks, very athletic type of kids. So this is going to be a great challenge for us. It's a good opportunity to play someone different, someone that we haven't seen, and hopefully somebody that's going to help prepare us for the tournament. That comes later on here in the year.
Yeah, not trying to get too far ahead of us as it is only week 1, but I saw that LCC got bumped up to 2A, so Sectional 42 is shaping out to be anybody's ball game, kind of, without LCC, without Pioneer in the mix. It's you guys, Traders Point, and the Clinton schools really leading the way there.
Well, I think it's a sectional that probably everybody feels the same about. It's going to be very competitive. I think it's whoever gets hot at the right time, and probably more importantly, whoever stays healthy and kind of has everybody ready to roll come that time of the year. But it is exciting. Like I say, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. We've got a lot of football to play, but it is something that I think probably all of us are looking forward to.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach, and I'll see you out there on the football field later on. You are listening to Into the Falcons Nest here on Indiana SRN. You have been listening to the first week of Into the Falcons Nest. Join me next week as I sit down with the Player of the Week, Coach Burgess, and the head coach of North White. Thank you and have a great night. This has been Into the Falcons Nest, powered by Indiana SRN.